such a loud purr.
It's like, I'm going to block your face, Andrew. Hello, everyone. As you guys know, we've been doing caretaker Q&As because so many of our Facebook fans have wanted to get to know the staff that help the cats. Of course, you know, there is no live post greater than one with Edgar here. So we are up here in what we call our team room, and Edgar is with Andrew, our construction caretaker, and Rio, one of our caretakers, and they are in front of a wonderful big cutout of Shadow, the black leopard. So I'm going to take it away today a little bit. Andrew, tell everybody a little bit about what you do at the sanctuary and how long you've been here.
Yeah, so I'm pretty new here. Basically brand new. I've been here about 2.5 months now. My first day was actually February 2nd. So I just started, still learning the ropes, still have a lot to learn. But I basically spent the first month learning how to be a caretaker here. So I got to know all the animals. I got to go around and learn how to clean, how to take care of all of them like that. But now as the seasons are attempting to shift into a warmer time, I'm starting to learn more of how you guys build here, how you guys do your construction jobs here. So I can jump in and be a caretaker here and there when they need me to, but I also I'm kind of more focused on the construction side, so building platforms, fixing up fences, doing different projects along the way.
And you're going to be leading our volunteer crew days on projects like that. So during the summer, we have people come that bring 6 to 8 people, and they work alongside you to do projects, whether they be exciting projects or mundane like skirting to fix the skirting, but it's so important. So we're happy to have you, Andrew.
Thank you.
And Rio, you've been with us a long time. Tell us a little bit how long you've been with TWS and what you're doing and what zone you're working in.
Yeah, I've been here a little over 4 years now, but that's including my internship too. And I'm one of the lead caretakers for Zone 3, so that includes most of the servals. It's wild woodland, pride prairie, so I'm working with tigers, lions. I got Shazam too, and the quarantine cats as well.
Awesome. Well, Rio, I have a few questions for you. One is, as Edgar's meowing around back, as we know, tends to be the domestic cats that come to us are usually gray, black, or white, or a combination of that. You adopted out one of the stray cats that came to TWS. It was Remo's doppelganger, Remy. How is Remy doing?
Oh, Remy's doing great. He is such a lover boy. He loves to meet new people, loves to curl up on my lap, on my face. I adopted a dog several months ago, and he and my dog are best friends now. They just curl up on the couches together, and I have another cat too who he loves to cuddle with, so he's doing great.
That's awesome. I love that cat. I keep thinking we should have just stolen back from you, but I know he's got the best home ever. And Andrew, do you have any pets at home?
Not up here, but back in Iowa with my girlfriend, we have 2 cats. We're getting ready to get a dog. Just bought a house, so we'll finally be able to get a dog.
I heard the executive director of the Wildcat Sanctuary is looking to adopt out one of her dogs.
I'll have to run that by the executive director that I have.
I'm just kidding. As everybody that knows Diffley from Facebook, Diffley's been trying my nerves over the weekend, but of course we love her. Andrew, tell us a little bit about some of the construction projects you've taken part in so far.
Right now, just kind of the biggest ones we've done so far was helping get Fiona's room ready after she had her spay, everything like that. So I helped get those platforms put together inside. Rio ingested a lot of the work as well. I was just kind of there, still learning the ropes as well, but also there to lend a hand when they needed to. And then there was a guillotine that we put in. Alyssa showed me, helped me understand how you guys get guillotines set up and everything. Those are kind of the 2 biggest projects.
Explain to the new people why we use guillotines and kind of what they're for.
Right, so a guillotine, we just use those for shifting access from one room to another, or from the rooms to outside, or even from the yards into a smaller area of the yard that we call a shift here. It's just for different cleaning purposes or medical reasons, feeding reasons, anything like that. It's just something we can pull from the outside that slides open. We can shift them out. We can leave it open during the day, or if we need to go in anywhere, we can close them quickly and get the animals where we need them to be.
We use them a lot for safety and for moving cats around. Miss Rio. So people have asked about Fiona and Bruno, meaning they're both young servals that came to us, both found at large. Are their personalities the same or not the same? And can you talk a little bit more about each of their personalities?
Yeah, I would say coming from pretty similar backgrounds, you couldn't get two more different cats. Bruno is very people friendly. He loves to come up and say hello. He loves to play with his toys. He is just a very playful cat and pretty easy when it comes to husbandry. And then Miss Fiona's a lot more shy. She really likes to hide in like her dog loo or behind platforms. She's not as outgoing as Mr. Bruno is. So she's a little different to work with, but I've definitely seen her come out of her shell a little bit too since she's been here.
That's awesome. And I know everybody's been asking, is there going to be a love connection? And my answer is stay tuned. There's been a lot of plans on moves and mergers for the spring, summer, so we'll share those as soon as we are able. Let's see. Rio, what do you find the most rewarding part of your caretaking job here at the sanctuary?
I would definitely say seeing the transformation of the cats, especially cats that come to us who are like little turtles, and they just really don't, they're really scared, they're nervous, they're not quite sure what's going on, and just to see that transformation of them coming out of their shells and starting to play and starting to interact with other cats. So we're starting to see that with Fiona a little bit, seeing her out just a little bit more, even if it's, seeing her face more from hiding out behind a dog loo. But I guess two of the cats that kind of stand out most to me were Arya and Sophia when they first came. They were both very shy, didn't really want much to do with us, but once we really started working with them, they got a lot more outgoing, and now they're some of the most playful cats that we have here.
Everybody can hear Edgar in the back. He's not crying for anything specific. Edgar, since he is deaf, likes to announce and talk everywhere he goes, everything he does. And so we kind of just accept that behavior and love that behavior. So we'll see if he comes out and about. Andrew, you talked about some of the construction projects. What do you have to consider in order to make things safe for the animals? And how do you know when there's time to replace something, and that something needs maintenance?
I think the biggest thing to consider is obviously what cat you're gonna be building it for. You wouldn't build the same platform for a serval that you would for a lion or a tiger. Obviously, you want to take the weights into consideration. How much wood you want to use? How deep into the ground if you're going to put a permanent one in? How deep into the ground? How soft the ground is? If it's a real soft ground, you might go a little bit further down. That way, it has a little bit more stability in there. That's probably the biggest thing to consider. Also, how many cats are going to be using it as well. So say you're building a new platform for the Tiger Trio. You want to make sure that there's enough room up there that all three of them can get up there together if they want to. Most of the time they probably won't, but you want to make sure they have that room available for them. And as far as replacing the platforms goes, you want to look, a lot of them like to use the legs as scratching posts. So if they start to get worn down in the middle and start looking like eventually they could give out, give them a good push while you're in there. If they start to show that they're weakening or wobbling, that's a good chance you should start to think about replacing those. Also, the coloration of the wood, the grayer they get, the weaker it's going to be typically. So you look for that.
And the caretakers alert you a lot because it's part of the caretaker rounds. You guys are doing ongoing inspections on top of the inspections now that you're doing. We have similar to the animal observations we talked about the other week, is you guys type it in and it goes an email out to the whole department. We have a maintenance list where you guys can add things and it goes directly to the maintenance facilities, and then Kelly can designate to you, Andrew, if it's something in the habitats. So I think that's the difference when people ask kind of your job versus facilities, is you are learning and are a caretaker so that you can shift cats, you know exactly what they need, where facilities and maintenance are really doing the buildings, the grounds, the things like that, and then if you need their assistance, you can pull them in for extra hands.
Right. Right.
Awesome. Rio, so this question comes up a lot to everybody, but I know different cats need different things. When it's a TWS vet day, how do you prepare a big cat in your zone before the exam?
We prepare them by, we want to take most of their furniture out of their rooms beforehand. That way, as we're sedating them, there's no trip hazards, they can't fall over anything, get stuck in an awkward position between something. So we want to make sure that we kind of get their room ready for their sedation. And we want to make sure that, we get them locked in overnight so that they're ready to go the next morning for us. And then getting all of the supplies ready, whatever crates we want to use, if we are using crates, and everything that goes along with that.
Awesome. Andrew, what's the funniest thing a cat has done in a zone, or a cat that you just met that you didn't expect from their behavior?
The one that comes to mind is going to be Andre, one of the cougars we have here the other day. You see him out, he's just kind of walking around. He seems like, he wouldn't be that energetic typically. But the other day, Alyssa and I were working on some fence posts by them, and he was out there saying hello to us, and a little mouse ran by him. And you could just see those instincts kick in, and he just started chasing the mouse around in his yard. And it's just something I didn't expect from him, but it was probably the best part of that day for me.
Was he successful?
No. No, the mouse got away from him. But.
It is funny because a lot of times they won't go after the mice because it's almost not worth their time versus a bigger animal. But part of running a sanctuary out in the middle of the woods is they do catch their own wildlife on occasion. Rio, what is the most I think this is a nice way of putting it, because we don't like to say cats are stubborn, but what's the most determined cat that you work with that's set in their ways, and how do you work around them to still get your job done?
I would probably say Sophie and Kimba are probably some of the most determined cats that we have that want to be on their own schedule and not necessarily ours. So with working with them, it's just a lot of patience and a lot of building trust with them, trying to see what works for them and what doesn't. Like we have, for their particular habitat, they have a large habitat with 2 shifts that then go into their indoor rooms. And it took a lot of time for them to be comfortable to even come up into the shift to eat for us. So we've just been working a lot on that, and they're at the point where they routinely will come in and eat side by side for us. They still get a little nervous when we go to the guillotine. It still can be a little bit of a struggle to get them regularly locked in, but they're definitely much better than they were when they first arrived, and they weren't very familiar with how we do things here. So just a matter of working with them.
And they spoke Spanish from Argentina, so we had to transition them over from that. I know people say if they're afraid to come indoors, how do we know they're going indoors in the winter? And we always say they're smarter than us, but how did you determine how much time they're spending indoors, that they were still safe when you weren't around, things like that?
They would usually run inside as soon as we left. So we'd be pulling out of the driveway to the building, and we'd see them run back inside. So we know that they use their rooms. They like to pee in their rooms. They love to use their beds. Their waters are low. They use their toys and enrichment in there. So we know that they're using the buildings, and we see them go in and out of them. But they just don't prefer to be in there when we're in there.
Exactly. They know, they're smarter than us. They know that you guys can shut the doors, and they like the freedom of going in and out. Andrew, tell me about what's kind of on the docket for coming up this summer. What habitat improvements are we going to be doing?
We'll definitely probably work on getting some new platforms put in, maybe take down some of the older ones. The biggest one is getting a few double doors put in. So to go into habitats or yards, we go through double doors ourselves, just for the safety of us in the sanctuary. So we'll get a few more of those put in just to kind of make the husbandry aspect of everything a little bit easier for us. And then getting some room-to-room guillotines, room-to-room doors set up so that cats might have a little bit bigger area inside, or eventually if there's future mergers, it'll be a little bit easier to get those guys moved around.
And then you guys have some shade structures I know we're doing, and some platforms, and you just did something for Anastasia. What did you do?
Oh, right, yes. So Anastasia, she's a very timid cougar that we have here. We just went into her yard and gave her a whole bunch of hiding places. We put up a few slats on the bottom of her perches, so if she wants to be out there, it's a place underneath the perches that she can kind of hide from us, but keep an eye out and watch us as we're moving around. We also put up a small lean-to out of some logs and put some pine branches over the top of that as well. We just gave her a few different opportunities so that she doesn't feel like she always has to hide in her den from us. If she wants to, she can stay out in her yard when we come up.
Awesome. Well, I know kind of what you're explaining, it looks like it takes manpower but also donations.
Right.
So how do donations help you help the cats?
Donations help in every aspect of the job, really. I mean, any material that we need, our donors, they will either buy that for us or they'll donate the money to us to purchase the materials that we do need. Whether it's the wood, it's extra fencing, it's the logs, the sharpening the blades on the chainsaw, anything like that. The donors are the reason that this job works. So cats getting new platforms, any new enrichment, any new updates to their yards is all because of the donors.
Awesome. And same thing, you're a caretaker, so how do donations help you do your job for the animals?
Same response. I mean, donations help with everything that we do here, whether it's getting new toys, new enrichment for the cats, their food. I mean, we have cats that are on 12, 13 pounds a day. So that's a lot of food for one cat, not to mention the amount of cats that we have here. So really it helps with everything that we do here. Donations are incredibly important because it's how we feed the cats, that's how we care for the cats, it's how we can do vet stuff for the cats. Really, it's how we do everything here.
Awesome. And Rio, do you have a favorite cat? I know that's such a tough question.
It had been a long time since I had had a favorite cat, since Mr. Mohan passed. But Bruno is definitely one of my favorites right now.
He's like a little spring, even on three legs. He
Yeah.
just jumps over everything. Mm-hmm. I love him. And Rio, tell me, people have asked, what is it like, because you do overnights, the sanctuary at night and after dark?
It's definitely a pretty wild experience out here at night. You get to hear the lions roaring, and when no one else is here except for the overnight staff and interns, it's quite the experience. It does get dark out here, but I mean, we have safety lights for every building, so that we can turn those on if we need to. Lights stay on around the prep room, around the ACC here, by the pole barn. So we can still see stuff and get stuff done, especially in the winter when it gets dark at 4:30. But it's a pretty cool experience to be out here.
A lot of vocalization, and like you said, somebody asked, do we keep it bright everywhere? And the answer, like you just said, is no. In the areas where the humans are, yes, but we want it dark for the cats so that they have diurnal settings from night to daytime. And I know I've seen that even in quarantine when we have cats that are locked indoors for extended period of time. We'll leave the building lights on during the day if natural light isn't enough, so that they still get that daytime and that nighttime. Mm-hmm. Andrew, tell us something about you that we might not know. What do you like to do in your spare time?
My spare time, I typically either play video games with my friends or try to spend any time I can outdoors. I grew up in a family that hunted and fished. My dad was a fisheries biologist for the state of Texas. So pretty much anything outdoors I grew up loving, and like to spend as much time as I can when the weather permits.
Yeah. Rio, what about you? I know you have something that usually surprises people that you like to do in your spare time.
Is it my motorcycle?
Yes.
I have a
Especially
motorcycle.
when you bring it to work on a dirt road.
Yep. I have a motorcycle. I've been riding since I was 16, and I love riding that in the summer. I'm waiting for it to be nice here and for the dirt road to harden up so I can actually ride it into work.
Awesome. Kind of following up on a last question, Andrew, what would surprise people about being a caretaker?
I think the surprising part is that not every cat is going to agree with you as a person. So cat to cat, they all have their own personalities, and One may love you, the next one may not, and that's something that you have to respect about them. But I think a lot of times you come in going, I'm going to be best friends with all of these animals, but there's a certain time when you realize that some of them are not going to be your best friend. You just learn to respect them and deal with it, and you love them just the same.
Awesome. And Rio, given that we are in Minnesota, and I think we have 4 seasons, but right now it feels like we only have one, and it's called winter. How does the 4 seasons affect your job as a caretaker?
It varies a lot. During the winter, it's a lot of shoveling. A lot of the cats like to stay inside, so that means that their rooms get messier than usual. So it's a lot of inside cleaning to make sure that those areas that the cats are preferring to stay is nice and clean for them. And then making sure that they have nice pathways and they have platforms that are cleared off if they do want to go outside. And then moving into spring, it's mud season and flood season, so we want to make sure that the habitats are as dry as we can make them, which doesn't always happen, but we do our best to pump out yards if we need to, throw wood chips down or any other kind of substrate to kind of help keep the cats out of the water, to make sure that their habitats are nice and dry. And then in the summer, everything grows like a weed here. It's a lot of mowing to make sure that, especially for cats like the cougars and the servals that like to hide in the tall grass, that we can still see them and make sure that we get eyes on everybody. So a lot of mowing, and then fall's pretty easy. Fall's pretty easy.
Because we don't have to rake. At our old, before we moved to sandstone, our old property, we raked leaves all the time, and so that's it. I just have to say that I know caretakers in the sanctuary business are amazing everywhere, but of course I'm biased that you guys are the best, because I know how much hard work caretakers are, and then when you add 4 seasons on it, there's not a break. And even construction and things, I look at what facilities in the South can do. It's like year round they can do construction, and here, Andrew, you're gonna have a huge push for 3 months until fall and snow comes again, and then it's so much manual labor. And so I'm just so impressed when I see what gets done in those seasons. Even, I mean, like the other day, I'm like, I'm not going out. It's blowing, freezing cold and snow, and the caretakers, you still do your job every single day without complaints and do what the cats need. So personally, I want to thank you guys and the entire team. So is there anything else you'd like to share with Facebook people?
Not that I can think of.
Well, that's awesome. Judson, was there any questions we didn't get answered today?
Again, a lot of people love being informed, and just a lot of curious and open ears. So it was awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll let you know if there's any other questions that come up, but we appreciate your time today.
Yeah, of course. And thank you everyone who's watching.
Bye everyone, thank you.